want to share it?
Yeah.
Oh, Sheldon. No, go up there.
So if I click on this, it probably.
Struggling again. Hey, Brent's watching. Hi, Brent.
Edit. Oh, I can't. How the fuck do I share this?
I already shared it before, haven't you?
But then I'm sharing it on Talk is Cheap.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I don't think it'll let us because we're admins of the page, so just screw it. I'll just have to share it after I put it on YouTube.
Right.
If they're not subscribed to the page, it's their own fault. We'll start right at 7:30. People will join as we go.
Right. Rotation. Rotation.
Yeah, they're gonna have some awful background music. Because this soundtrack is whack.
There we go.
Oh. Oh.
Go.
Sheldon, go lay down.
Go. Sheldon, come on. Get up here.
Oh, got a second.
Alright.
Sheldon. Alright, close enough. You ready?
Yep.
Alright, welcome to Talk is Cheap, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Zach Cooper. This is my co-host, Brent Johansson. And we'll go over your questions and make predictions for Week 8. Halfway done with the year. That's crazy. Almost.
Yeah.
It's gone by so fast. Alright, first one. Ravens and Steelers predictions, and why do you think Baltimore will crush them? Actually, we're not going to answer this question right now because we do our picks at the end, and so we'll answer that question when we get there. So, we're going to skip to the next one. Should the Cowboys trade for Fitzmagic to compete for the division? You want to go first?
No. So, Dallas' season went down the drain as soon as Dak went down for the season. I don't, even with Fitzmagic, I don't see that team getting more than 4 wins on the year. That being said, you should probably just get through this year and use that high draft pick on a player that's going to benefit the team.
Yeah, I've seen a Cowboys fan today actually post a meme that said it's DiNucci time. What happened to that? Huh? Aren't you guys confident? No, I don't think they should because they're not going anywhere regardless. Say they do pick up Fitzmagic and they win the NFC East because the winner of the NFC East is not going to have a lot of wins this year. Say they can do it. If it's not like they're going to win in the playoffs and do anything, all they're going to do is just put themselves further back in the draft by doing that, right? They would lose. Right now, they would be the 4 seed and they'd be slated to play Chicago. And I think even Chicago would beat Dallas. Like with no offense, that defense... you see what Washington's defense did to them, so imagine what Chicago's defense would do to them. So it's not like they would go anywhere in the postseason. So I would not. There's no point. I would let like your young quarterbacks, DiNucci and Russ, play and see what they can do, because you don't know what's going to go on with Dak. You guys have failed to sign him 2 years in a row. And so you need to see what you got behind him, or whether you need to draft a quarterback or not, if you guys potentially can't sign him. So I would say no. This year's kind of a wash for Dallas. So, do the Falcons need to just trade away their star players while they still can and completely start over? Side note, obviously not the younger stars like Calvin Ridley. More talking about Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. Yeah, I kind of went over this a couple weeks ago. I 100% believe they should. Especially after losing to Detroit now. Like, if they would have beat Detroit, it would have been like kind of like they were starting to build a little bit of momentum. But they found a Falcons way again of losing. And, yeah, you got to find some way to get them. Julio's 31. Matt Ryan's in his mid-30s. It's like, so these guys are not here to be around for another rebuild. By the time you're done rebuilding, these guys will be way past their prime, and they'll be worth nothing. So I would try to get something now to help with the rebuild while you still got a shot.
Yeah, I definitely think they should get rid of Julio and Ryan. You can get decent value from both of those guys, even at their age. but I don't think the Falcons are going to. Every report that I've been seeing says that Matt Ryan and Julio are there for the long haul, which is a shame because the Falcons aren't going anywhere, and it's just a waste of both guys' talent levels. And so I think they should, but they're not going to.
Yeah, completely agree. Question of the day, like the last 50 posts on it, are the Jets going 0-16? Not covering this anymore.
Yes.
They are going 0-16.
Have you seen their schedule?
Like, their schedule has 0 winnable games left. That like it's brutal. They needed to win the games that they had earlier in the schedule to really make an impact, and they didn't do that. So now, I don't see any games left on their schedule that they can realistically win.
No.
Not a single one.
No.
So, yes, they will be 0-16, and they will draft Trevor Lawrence. I believe that they're going to move on from Sam Darnold. But Darnold's good, and he'll find a good home somewhere else. How big of an impact do you think Dez Bryant will have with the Ravens?
0. Dez Bryant's on the practice squad. He's not on the active roster, unless there's some crazy injury to happen to Hollywood Brown or Willie Snead. He's not going to be called up. They really like that new rookie that they got, Duvernay. They really like what they see in him. They don't really like to pass the ball anyway. So with Mark Andrews, Hollywood, Willie Snead, and the new rook, there's really just no room for Dez.
I guess it depends on how well he does at practice, I guess. I don't see him having that big of an impact if he even does get called up. That's like 3 years ago, he wasn't playing good football then. And then you take 3 years off and you're expected to play good football now. I don't think so. Like, I mean, I think it's more of a maybe motivation to their team or something, or like just something to help Dez out because they know a lot of the guys on the team are friends with him. But I just don't see it. I mean, I could totally be wrong. You never know. People that were that good at one point, maybe he finds a second win. But in my opinion, I don't think he's gonna have that big of an impact. Like he said, they're a run first team anyway. So like no receivers have that big of an impact out there. Hollywood Brown might get the occasional long ball, but like it's not like he's out there catching 12 passes for 184 yards. Like that's never gonna happen. If he gets 184 yards, they're on 4 passes and they're all deep. Yeah. And it doesn't happen very often. So I just don't see it. If he proves me wrong, great. I mean, I like to see stories like that where the guy, leaves for 3 years and he can come back. It'd be cool to see it. He's got a little bit of a mouth, but he's never really been that big of a problem. Other than he played for Dallas, and so nobody liked him. Like that was my issue with him. So I would like to see him do good, but I just think it's too late for him. When he signed with New Orleans last year, was probably his last hope, and then he blew out his Achilles, and that's probably a killer on an old guy. So. Probably little to none, but let's hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So, how did the Colts slow down Kenny Galladay? You got this guy that's pretty good on your team against physical wide receivers. You can ask Julio Jones, Michael Thomas. His name's Xavier Rhodes. That's how you slow down Kenny Galladay. You put him on him. Okay, I know that they're not going to. They're going to put Rocky Sin on him, okay? And then they're going to get torched for 120 yards by Kenny Galladay because for some reason, I feel like I can outcoach most NFL coaches sometimes. But that's how you should do it. You got to put a guy who's good against receivers like that on him. Like, historically, even in his decline years in Minnesota, he was still holding physical receivers to nothing. It was the speedy receivers he couldn't keep up with. Yeah, don't. Yeah, I know you don't want it. But, yeah, I don't want it either. But that is how you do it. Like I said, they're not going to. But that's the best option.
For me, it has nothing to do with the Colts defense. It's you give Jonathan Taylor the ball, you give him the ball 4 yards at a time, take that clock off. The best way to get Kenny Galladay off from the equation is get him off from the field. The huge reason why the Colts blew out the Vikings was because the Vikings weren't on the field. You keep Detroit off the field, Kenny Galladay is going to post really bad numbers. And so the key to the Colts' success against Galladay, stay on offense. Don't let Phillip Rivers turn the ball over.
Yeah, don't let him throw. Run the football.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because we see what happens when Phillip Rivers tries to be magic later in his years, anyways.
Yeah, it worked. It worked against Cincinnati, but it won't work against Detroit.
Yeah, that's true. Cincinnati's got a lot more building to do. Yeah. Was the Titans allowing the Steelers to win because we felt bad for them, the right thing to do, or will it come back to haunt us?
Yes. The Titans definitely let the Steelers win. They showed that the way that they let the Steelers get like a 27-point bubble on them, and then they came back, and in my opinion, they were a missed field goal away from winning that game. If they make that field goal, they go to overtime, and they would beat the Steelers in overtime because all the momentum was with the Titans. Ben Roethlisberger did not play well, and so I know it's a joke question, but the Titans could have definitely beat the Steelers.
Ryan, you didn't miss your question about the Ravens because we're going to answer it when we go over our picks, so we kind of shuffled past it. So you did not miss your question yet, so stay tuned. I don't even know how to answer this question because it's a joke question. I just really don't. I think you pretty much summed it up pretty well. I don't think Pittsburgh was going to lose either way, but I would just say that I think that the game would go much different if they played again. They definitely didn't show up for the first half of that game, and you can't do that against teams with defenses like that. So you just can't do it. You got to stick in the game, and then it takes Derrick Henry out of the equation, and that's your best offensive weapon. You don't want to take him out of the equation. So hard to answer that question, but I do think it would play out different if they played again.
Yeah.
So, how many wins do you think it will take for the Lions to prove they are legit, make the playoffs? It's a pretty simple answer. I don't think you prove you're legit by winning 8 games, right? You got to get in the playoffs and probably make some noise in the playoffs would be my guess. Like not even go in and get your ass kicked because then nobody's gonna think you're legit if you get blown out. But like go in there. I would say win a playoff game would be a good step. So I don't think it depends. The amount of wins in the regular season isn't going to matter. If they can get into the playoffs and get a win, then maybe people will start to think they're legit. Until then, you same old Lions.
Yeah, I'm right with Coop there. It's not only do you have to make it to the playoffs, but I think you really have to win that first playoff game for people to start giving the Lions some credit. I know a lot of Lions fans are talking about how the Lions season's turning around. They're 500. They haven't been 500 in a long time at this point in the season. And yeah, that's true. But besides that Arizona win, their 2 wins were against the Falcons, one of the worst teams in football, and the Jaguars.
The second worst team in
yes.
football.
So I do think the Lions are making steps in the right direction, but I don't really think the Lions beat the Falcons. It was more like the Falcons found a way to lose that game. But
not wrong.
if Todd Gurley goes down at the 1, the Lions lose that game. They're 2-4 instead of 3-3. But no, the Lions still have a long way to go to make the playoffs. I think because the NFC West is just so stacked. It's really hard for me to see them making it. But if they made the playoffs and then if they beat the Bears in the first round. Which, I don't know, they can't beat the Bears. The Bears aren't winning the division. If they beat someone in the first round, if they beat the Eagles in the first round, and then go in the second round, and then whatever happens, they could get some credit there because they came in, they made a splash in the playoffs. But until then, it's the same old Lions.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that they could have a shot at making the playoffs if they can beat Indy this weekend because their schedule gets pretty soft for the next month and a half after Indy. So, but you need to beat teams that are good. Like, I know you beat Arizona, but if you beat Indy, then you're like, okay, we beat 2 teams that are pretty good. Now maybe people will start to maybe give us a little bit of our due, but nobody's going to, like we said, nobody's going to really think you're like a legit team until you've done it in the postseason. So get there first. That's the goal.
Should have won against the Bears. Yes, the Lions should have won against the Bears.
Should have, would have, could have, though, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree, but that's the difference is that you could say that for a lot of games.
Yeah.
Tennessee could have beat Pittsburgh if they made the field goal. They didn't.
If the Lions beat the Bears there, then the Lions and Bears are swapped in the division right now, and they're not. So it's just what it is.
Now I think DeAndre Swift catches that pass 99 times out of 100, but that's the one time he didn't.
Yeah,
so
it was rookie's first game out on the big stage, and things. I think at this point in the season he catches that pass.
Yeah, I agree. Does Everson Griffin truly make a big impact on the Lions' defense, and does this improve their odds for making the playoffs?
Yes. Everson Griffin is still a really good football player. I was surprised that the Cowboys let him go for so little, considering that he was a rotational player and still had 2.5 sacks in very limited time playing. And anyone that's ever known Everson Griffin knows that he takes a little while to start warming up. Without a preseason, this is around the time he starts warming up. You have good pieces on the line for Detroit, so he's not going to be taking in double teams to get to the quarterback. So I think Everson Griffin could really he could have a turnaround season for Detroit.
Yeah, he really could. The one thing Detroit's defense lacks is a pass rush, so this was a big move for Detroit. He's going to get there, right? And it's going to take some of the pressure off Trey Flowers because he was the only big name on the defensive line. So I think it helps on both sides of the line because he's obviously going to play opposite Trey Flowers because they're never going to take him out of the lineup.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't see how any way, and I know you mentioned this yesterday in our chat, I don't see any way how Dallas won this trade. This was just a giant mistake. They probably could have got more out of him than that. I'm not saying they would have got, big-time things, but you could have got more than a sixth.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, shoot, there are teams like Seattle and stuff that have no defensive pieces that are looking for something to a company like their MVP and their star-powered offense. Like, shit, I think Cincinnati just let Dunlap go for peanuts too. Like
Seventh round, yeah.
7th round. Like, I'm like, wow. Like, I don't understand this, but hey, I'm not the one making the moves. Yes, it was a great move for Detroit, and it does help their chances of making the playoffs. There's no way it hurts it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say so. It's a big step in the right direction for that defense.
Fuck the Packers. Hey guys, fuck the
Packers. Why are the Eagles so good and Travis Fulgham so unstoppable?
They're just the best team to ever play football.
You comment your own question on here.
Travis Fulgham is...
There's no R in his name, everybody. It's Fulgham.
Travis Fulgham is top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. Look at the stats. He's unstoppable. So when the Eagles knock off the Saints, Bucks, Packers, and then the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, come back to me because Travis Fulgham's the MVP of that game.
Which two NFL teams are the imposters, a.k.a. teams that don't represent what their record would indicate? Okay, the Bears. The Bears are an imposter, and I think they really got exposed Monday night. Like, I mean, they looked horrible. Like, their offense was anemic. I don't know how they're going to score points against any real defenses. Like, there's some Bears fans that think they're going to beat the Packers. Like, good luck. Even if you slow the Packers offense down, your offense can't score enough points to stop a mediocre Packers offense. Like, I honestly don't think you're going to beat the Vikings, and they're 1-5. So, like, because the Vikings offense still scores a lot of points. Like, you don't have the offense to do it. Like, they're in trouble. They're in trouble now. I can't see them doing more than 2-4 in the division, and that's if they can beat the Lions again, because I don't think they really should have beat the Lions the first time. So, we'll see. But the Bears are definitely one, and a second team, man, might be Buffalo. I think Buffalo's the best team in the AFC East, but they're just so inconsistent that it's hard for me to say that they're like an elite team. They play so good some weeks, and then some weeks they just they look against the Jets. And I know Buffalo's always kind of against their division, but like, it's the Jets. Like, that should have been the one team that you turned your division woes around. I don't know. It's hard. It might be Buffalo, it might not be. But then again, they're such a hard team to judge. So.
I have the same two. The Bears from the NFC. The Bears are... How's Slay been doing for the... he's been alright. He's going to intercept whatever the dude's name is 4 times this week, though.
DiNucci?
The Bears have a good record. And Nick Foles had some magic against Tom Brady. But besides that, their season's been pretty lackluster. I don't think that they deserve the record that they have. And Buffalo, from the start of the season, I was not a fan of Buffalo. I said that Buffalo's problem was that they beat up on mediocre teams, struggle against teams that are equal or better than them. They played a little better earlier in the season, but then they really struggled to put away the Jets. The Jets.
Kirk Vember is fake news. No, that's not fake news. Kirk Vember is for real.
But if you're struggling to put away the New York Jets, I don't care if they're in your division. They have no talent left on that team. And they needed 6 field goals to beat the Jets. That looks like a one-and-done team in the playoffs for me. Imposter. Get him off the ship.
Has OBJ already played his best years when he was a Giants? Or do you think the absence in some abstract way will improve Baker's play by not feeling he has to give OBJ X amount of targets just to keep him happy?
So it's tough because OBJ played really great football with the Giants. Him and Eli were like
Great chemistry.
Yeah, they had great chemistry. And Baker has shown that he has chemistry with OBJ. And as much as people want to throw that narrative that OBJ needs to touch the ball, otherwise he's going to throw a tantrum and be a cancer in the locker room, he's proven it wrong. It's just OBJ just wants to win. He's said it multiple times. He could go 0 catches on the day. If his team wins, then you have no problem from OBJ. The problem is when you give it to OBJ and he doesn't win the game. He gets frustrated at that point. I think statistically his numbers are never going to be as good in Cleveland as they were in New York, just because OBJ is not the number one guy in Cleveland. It's a dude named Nick Chubb. And as long as the Chargers run the ball, or the Browns run the ball, it's always Nick Chubb's show. So OBJ is always going to play second fiddle to that as long as he's a Brown. I don't think his best days are behind him because he's still one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's going to win you football games. But I don't think as long as he's a Brown and they're a run-first team, you're going to see OBJ put up those 1,400-yard seasons again.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think OBJ's played his last game as a Brown.
Interesting.
I don't think he really likes being in Cleveland. Maybe things have changed because Cleveland's 5-2, but it's always going to be how Cleveland finishes the year. Even without him, like he said, he wants to win. If Cleveland can't put up a good record, he ain't going to want to come back. And that's just how he is, right? And Brent's right. And I've been trying to preach this to people forever. OBJ does not care about his production. He cares about winning. He's a very passionate football player. People call him a crybaby, whatever, but that just shows your passion and love for the game. I've seen him throw temper tantrums in games where he's had 10 catches for 150 yards. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I've seen him be super happy with games with 2 catches for 25 yards. Yeah. It's all that matters, the result of the game. Okay, like that, he just hates losing. He's just one of those people. He hates losing. He's never probably going to have those days unless he goes to a team where he's the absolute star of that team. And you could go to a winning team and go there. If he went to somewhere like Pittsburgh, he'd 100% be the number one guy there, and they would get him the ball and get him immediately. So it depends on where he goes. But the numbers he put up in New York were so insane. Like, he was on pace to break Jerry Rice's records. Then he had some injuries happen. He's never going to touch Jerry Rice's records. That's part of how football goes. But he'll never probably touch those numbers again. So numbers-wise, his best year is probably behind him. Athletic-wise, he's just as good as he always was. I think he can come back from an ACL. He's a hard worker. He'll come back from this ACL tear. And I think he'll be just as good as ever. It just depends on where he's going to play. And I think numbers-wise, he may want it. His agent probably wants him to go somewhere else. But as long as the Browns win, he'll come back. It's going to be just how they finish. Can they finish without him? I think so. I think they can because Baker looked amazing after he left. He was 22 of 23 after Odell's injury.
5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns. His only incomplete pass was to spike the ball. So it's all a matter of if they're going to re-sign Odell to a longer-term deal or if they're going to try to trade him because his deal's coming towards the end, and that's what a lot of teams do. He's only got, two more years left on his deal? So they may try to get something out of him, especially if they think that he's not producing at his will, which, again, like Brent said, they're a run-first team, so he's never going to produce like that. So there's a lot of things that are going to happen this offseason with Odell. But athletically, no, his best days are not behind him. He's still right in the prime of his career. He probably won't slow down until about 32, 33 years old. But it's just a numbers question at this point. So, but I do think Baker will perform better because I do think at some point in time, like Brent says, I don't think it needs to happen, but I think Baker's had a lot of pressure on his shoulders having an Odell Beckham type guy on his team. And I have seen him try to force the ball to Odell when Odell's not open, and you could have went somewhere else with the football. And so I do think it'll help him. It's kind of like when Megatron left Stafford. Stafford became a better quarterback in Detroit. I think he's going to have the same growth, and then when he comes back, he'll be more mature quarterback and realize that I don't need to throw you the ball every play. Mm-hmm. So it could really help him leaving. So how bad will Philly destroy Dallas? I think probably about this is as close as Washington was. I think they'll score more than 3 points, but I think Philly will score more than 25. So it'll probably be about the same distance. I'm expecting a pretty big blowout in that game. I know I should have waited till the picks to answer that question, but like I just love to shit on Dallas, so I just answered it anyways.
If Miles Sanders plays in this game, the Eagles score over 40 points.
Wow. Whoa.
If he doesn't, the Eagles score 35.
Can Detroit compete for a wild card spot? Kind of already answered that question, though.
Yeah, they have the. I think they have the outside lane to the wild card spot. I think it really decides on how the NFC West plays the rest of the year, because I think the NFC West is going to send 3. I think the NFC South is going to send 2, and then the divisions are going to send their winners.
So it's going to be a dogfight between Detroit, Chicago, the New Orleans and Tampa loser, San Francisco, LA, and Arizona, right? Because I think Seattle. I don't care if Seattle lost to Arizona; they're going to win the NFC West. At least that's my prediction. So.
Eagles
good
still,
luck. There's nobody from the NFC
Eagles still
East.
trash. Oh, I can't hear you all the way from the top of the NFC East.
Like that's such a huge ladder. Yeah. So the NFC wildcard chase should be interesting. I think it's gonna be real fun to watch those teams go at it, especially when it gets closer to the end of the year. And you get to a lot of must-win games for teams. It should be a good race, especially with that extra spot now. So. All right, let's go to our picks now.
All right, you want me to lead or you leading?
Go ahead.
All right, so for the first game, we have Atlanta versus Carolina. Carolina's going to win this football game. Atlanta just continues to find ways to lose games, minus that win against Minnesota that's showing to be just an outlier in their season. The Falcons are trash, and the Panthers actually move in the right direction.
That dog play corner for
Yes, he's very fast.
That's true.
I don't think Carolina is going to have any problem putting the Falcons down. The only thing that would even remotely concern me is the fact that it's a divisional game. But Teddy Bridgewater's playing good football. Carolina should win this game by at least 10.
Yeah. Carolina's shown to be a competitive football team. Even in their losses, they've played good football. Atlanta has been the exact opposite. You may look at some of their scores and be like they were competitive, but if you really look at it, were they? Because, I mean, when you blow leads like they have, I don't know if that's really what you consider competitive football. Where you haven't been able to put away Carolina. It's two different types of football teams. One's got a lot of heart and the other team's like giving up.
Yeah.
Carolina knows that if they're going to compete in the wild card, I didn't even mention them in the wild card race, probably because I don't think they're actually going to get in. But if they want to keep themselves, and I believe they can get in, right? Because they got CMC's going to be coming back next week because he almost came back this week.
Yeah, if they weren't playing.
If they weren't playing Thursday and they were playing Sunday, he'd be back. I think that, especially if they win this game, they're going to believe they can get in because Christian McCaffrey is only going to make them better. I know they're 0-2 without McCaffrey, but I think they finally realized we don't have to give McCaffrey the ball in every single play anymore. They're like, wow, we got other playmakers. We got Ray Alvey Anderson, DJ Moore is making plays. Teddy Bridgewater making moves on his legs like he never hurt his leg ever. So
Mike Davis is performing.
Mike Davis is, but that'll go away once CMC comes back.
Well, they said that Mike Davis is going to still have a huge role in the offense when McCaffrey's back.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if you can take McCaffrey off the field unless you plan on doing a lot of two-back stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Carolina should cruise to a win. I do think it'll be close because that's Atlanta's MO. It'll probably be a last-second drive. That's what Atlanta does, right? Like, they'll probably take a lead, and then they'll be like, yeah, here you go. We'll leave you just enough time on the field for Teddy Bridgewater to take you down the field and beat us. So that's probably how I think this Thursday night game is going to go. So
NFC East was a tough division for a long time, and people seem to forget that. NFC East takes a lot of trash on social media, but for a long time they were the ones sending 3 teams to the playoffs every year.
I don't think they forget. I just think that they're the shit team now, so it's good to give them shit. This is like any other team. The NFC West took it for a little bit, too, when they were sending 7 and 9 teams to the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I know Brett and I are going to disagree on this game, but I got to pick Pittsburgh. They're hot, baby. They're hot. They beat Cleveland, and they beat Tennessee back-to-back. Those are 2 big wins. Those are teams that are combined 10-3 on the season. The defense is real good. The offense has a little bit of question marks for me still, but that defense is real good, and I believe that defense can do a good job at limiting Lamar. And we've seen what Lamar does when he's forced to throw the ball, and it hasn't been all that pretty. I'm sorry to all you Lamar fans out there. I know Ryan Frey, you're in here, you're a Lamar fan, but he's not a great pocket passer. We know that. He's a phenomenal athlete, and he's going to be the Ravens' future quarterback for years to come because of that, right? He's good. He's a little upgraded Michael Vick, but still, if you can force him to pocket pass, he's not all that great, right? So that's what Pittsburgh needs to do. They need to limit his running, and I think that's what they will do. I think they found ways to use offensive weapons outside of just Ben Roethlisberger throwing him the ball, which is fantastic for a team to be able to do. So I just think that everything right now is rolling Pittsburgh's way. I expect a dogfight. This rivalry is always so intense, so hard-hitting. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I can't believe they did not flex it to the Sunday night game and they left trash Philly and Dallas for the Sunday night game. I can't believe it, but I don't make the schedule, so...
It's a better rivalry.
It's not.
Historically, it is. So the Steelers are not going to win this football game. They might be the last undefeated team, whatever.
I think you put any quotes on that.
They have not done enough to gain my respect. Here's why. So yes, their last 2 wins were against teams combined 10-3. You beat a Cleveland Browns team without Nick Chubb. Congrats.
And a really hurt Baker Mayfield.
And a broken rib Baker Mayfield. Congrats. Put an asterisk on that. You beat the Titans, which that is a more impressive win. But you let the Titans come back in that game and were a missed field goal from arguably losing that football game. The Titans have shown that they're kind of hit and miss too. They usually come out on top of those close games, but they play close with a lot of bad teams too. This is going to be a good test. If you beat the Ravens, maybe I'll say something good next week.
Hold them to it, ladies and gentlemen. Hold them to it.
I don't think that's going to be the case. The Ravens are going to kick the shit out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Ravens' defense is athletically better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think their offense is miles better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh's going to lose this football game. It's in Baltimore. They're going to leave that with a big ol' L.
Damn. Hey, you even put up the right finger for it to show an L on the screen. That was good. Most people mess that up.
Rams travel to Miami. Tua's first game as a Dolphin. He's going to take an L. The Rams showed that they can beat teams that are not in the NFC East last week. And the Dolphins have shown promise, but it was a terrible time to throw a quarterback in. Fitzmagic had the chemistry with the team. They weren't flashy, but they were doing good football. Now you're throwing in a left-handed quarterback who is getting like a week worth of practice with these guys. The Rams have Aaron Donald. He's going to feast on Tua. This game's probably not going to be pretty to be a Dolphins fan. A lot of Dolphins fans are going to...
Dolphins fan here.
Dolphins fan. A lot of Dolphins fans are going to probably start... Or they're probably going to question the move on why you would move Tua in as a starting quarterback this early. Especially the way that their season was going. I think Tua's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. I just don't think it's going to start in his rookie game.
Yeah, I think this was a terrible decision, switching quarterbacks. Fitz had the team rolling in the right direction. Buffalo's starting to struggle, so you have a real chance at winning this division. So when your team's playing like as well together as they are right now, making that switch was an awful choice. I think they should have sat Tua for the year, unless their season was over, maybe play him a couple games at the end. But I think you should have sat him for the year and let him learn. Fitzpatrick's been a quarterback in this league for like 18 years. It's a great person to sit and learn behind, right? And then next year it could be Tua's team. That's just the way it should have been. And now you're going to put him... I don't know if you guys have looked at Miami's next 3 games, but this was an awful time to put him in. He's going to get his ass kicked for the next 3 weeks.
Thrown into the gauntlet.
Yeah. So, based on what I just said, you can probably assume I'm taking the Rams. I just think that the Rams are just more athletic than Miami is right now, and I don't know how they're going to click with Tua. chemistry changes everything, right? So Tua's only practiced with these guys for a week, so we'll see where it goes, but it just doesn't seem like the right decision right now. I think Fitz would put up a better chance for them to win this game at this moment, especially against the type of defenses they're going to be playing for the next 3 weeks. Like, an intelligent mind with the IQ of Fitz is the quarterback you'd want to go with. You're not a guy who's never played a game in the NFL before.
Yep.
So I got to take the Rams just off the unknown at this point. So I wish Tua the best of luck. He seems like a good kid.
But he's going to be hurting on Monday morning.
Yeah. I just don't get it right now. I really thought he was going to sit his whole year. I thought that was the QB that wasn't going to play this year. But,
yep.
Damn. I think their coach is a good coach, so maybe he knows something I don't, but we'll see what's going on. Jets, Kansas City, Chiefs.
The Jets. I'm kidding. The Chiefs opened this game up as 21.5-point favorites. That's college football worthy, not NFL.
You never see point spreads that big in the NFL ever.
It just sucks if you're a Jets fan. I feel like legitimately been like, I look so forward to like the fall and the winter because I get to watch my team play football, and like Sundays are a really big day for me. What do Jets fans do on Sunday? That's what I legitimately want to know. So if that George guy that keeps on asking Jets questions,
or Sherry, she asks a lot of them too.
If you guys wanna just like hit my DMs and just tell me like what you like to do on Sundays, like maybe you go for a walk during the game, anger management, I just don't understand how anyone could ever go with the Jets. Like, I bet if you go on, like, Vegas spreads right now, there's 0% people taking the Jets.
I know it just seems like this season, but if you flash back, everybody's seen the movie Mr. Deeds, right? Even when he finds out he owned the Jets, he's like, "Whoa, that sucks." It's just an awful aura, like, to have. Like, it's bad. And I'm just not going to go over this game because it's Kansas City, and then it's the Jets, okay? So, shit, yeah, I'm sorry, Jets fans. I'm not one to talk to my team's 1-5, but at least I go in on Sundays thinking that they could possibly win a game.
The word is Jets fans watch a game on the edge of a cliff. If I was a Jets fan, I wouldn't even watch this game.
Yeah, I would pick. There's better games to watch. Why don't you watch Pittsburgh and Baltimore and just not get your heart broke?
Well, don't even watch football this week because you're gonna keep on seeing highlights of Mahomes just.
That's true. Every 30 seconds during the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, they're like, "Whoa, gotta go for a game break." And you see Patrick Mahomes.
Here's Mahomes with a 99-yard pass to Tyreek Hill for the 4th time today. Yeah, sorry, Jets fans.
Yeah. All right. Minnesota, Green Bay.
Oh, Green Bay Packers. So, in this game, you have a team that is heading in the right direction with an angry quarterback. You have a team with an angry quarterback, but he's not going in the right direction. So, I know historically the Packers and the Vikings play each other really good. The teams rarely sweep each other in the division. This year, the Packers are going to sweep the Vikings.
Second year in a row.
It's tough because the Packers they're a really good football team. And they showed last week. I know that they weren't facing a high-quality opponent, but they showed that they don't, like, Aaron Jones can take the day off, and they can still win football games pretty convincingly. I have nothing left to say. Packers win this game.
Everybody knows what date Sunday is, right?
Kirk.
It's November 1st, which means it's the start of Kirk-vember, baby. All right? He's about to turn the ship around, and they're about to go 5-0. Okay, like this whole month. Okay, then they'll be sitting 6-5, right on the outside of the wild card, looking in. Okay, and this starts it all right here. Kirk's going to lay the hammer this week, but for my pick-wise, I'm going to take the Packers because I don't want to lose any ground. But I'm telling you, the Vikings are here. They're going to start what they were supposed to do starting in week 1. Okay, their season starts week 8. Okay, they're gonna go undefeated from here on out. Kirk-vember is among us. Okay, a lot of people think that that's a myth because Kirktober was a flop, but I tried telling people Kirktober was a flop. Nobody listened to me. Okay, so it's supposed to be Kirk-vember all along. No, okay, but to be for real now, the Vikings just traded away their best pass rusher. That told me that they're getting ready for next season. I know Zimmer says that they're not giving up on the season. That's what he's supposed to say. That they are. I think that they're still going to go play and hope they win these games, but they're already making moves to prepare for next year. They knew Yannick wasn't going to re-sign with them because of their record, so they traded him. They didn't get nearly as much back as what they wanted to, but that's part of losing. The Packers have been rolling past teams that have been better than the Vikings this year, so I don't see how they can stop them. No pass rush. You've seen what Rodgers did in Week 1 when they had Yannick. Hey, he didn't even hardly get touched. It's just going to be the same old. Expect the Vikings offense to put up points because they got a lot of playmakers there, but the fact is the defense isn't going to make them punt, so when you don't punt, you don't lose football games very often. So the Packers are going to outscore the Minnesota. I expect a very high-scoring game. If you guys like offense, maybe you should watch this game. But I just don't think we have a realistic shot, Kirk Vember or not. Defense has got to help a little bit too. So that's all I got to say about that. I hate picking against my Vikings, but I try to make these picks unbiasedly, so I'm taking the Packers. Indy at Detroit. Okay. So this game's a little harder than it would have been 2 weeks ago to pick. Detroit's building a lot of momentum right now. And just for that, I'm going to take Detroit. Detroit, actually, here's a funny thing, right? They're 3-3, but they got all 3 wins on the road. So they're playing at home now, right? Eventually, you're gonna win your home games. So I think that they can beat them. I don't think that Phillip Rivers can throw the ball enough to beat Detroit. Detroit's run D's look really good the last few weeks. I think that they've focused on stopping the run now and just kind of like the team. We'll just see what teams can do in the air against us. I think that's it. And he stopped playing man coverage every damn down, which is finally. I don't know how it took Patricia 2 years in like 8 weeks to figure this out. But finally, he realized you can't play the same defensive scheme or play every play and not expect teams to tear you up. Wow. It took a rocket scientist 2 years to figure, 2+ years to figure that out. That's honestly crazy. But I'm taking Detroit in a game that I really could be a coin flip. Okay. I had Indy down before I sent my picks to Brent, and I changed it, and I refilled out the whole damn sheet because I couldn't figure out how to erase. And I took Detroit. I just think that Stafford can put up more points than Phillip Rivers can, and if the Indy can't run the ball, Phillip Rivers is prone to making those mistakes, and that could cost them this game on the road.
Yeah, so Detroit has every chance in the world to win this football game. The Colts are a pretty decent squad, but the Colts are coming off a bye week. They had a whole extra week to prepare for Detroit.
Sure.
Phillip Rivers got to rest that rusty cannon of his, so he's going to feel a little bit more fresh. Jonathan Taylor got a little bit of rest. And I think the biggest wild card in this is Trey Burton. So Trey Burton finally found his place in the offense for Indy against Cincinnati. He did so as a runner and as a receiving target. If Detroit plays zone coverage, which they have been switching to, I think Phillip Rivers is going to be able to feast on that underneath throws. That's where he's going to succeed at. And I just basically think Phillip Rivers is going to, well, not Phillip Rivers, the Colts are going to keep the ball away from Matthew Stafford for most of this game. I could see Detroit winning this game, but my gut is telling me Indianapolis is a little bit better of a football team, and they're coming all well rested, a lot more prep. I got to give the lead to Indy in this one. The next game is, who do we got? Vegas and Cleveland. Okay, so this is going to be the first time all season I'm taking the Raiders, and here's why. So Cleveland is beat up. They have a beat up quarterback. He's playing good that second half of the football game, but he's still beat up. Your star running back's out. Kareem Hunt has kind of shown that when he's the main guy in Cleveland, he's not as productive as Nick Chubb is.
Dunn told you guys he wasn't as good as Chubb.
He's really good as the change of pace guy, but he's not the same kind of runner as Chubb. He's more of the catch it out of the backfield kind of guy. And OBJ is out. And the Raiders are...
And Hooper's out.
Yeah. So the Raiders are a really good football team. And I know that if you look at that score against Tampa Bay, it doesn't look like they really competed in that game.
They did.
But until the final 8 minutes of that game, it was like a neck and neck contest. It just Tom Brady outlasted them. I think the Raiders have a legitimate chance to steal one against Cleveland. If you're going to win against Cleveland, now is the time to do it. They're hurt. They're kind of recovering. The Raiders really match up with all that speed on offense. And then once you've opened up the secondary, then you let Josh Jacobs finally get some production because he has not looked good this year. But I think the Raiders just overall have a better chance of winning this game than the Browns do.
Yeah, I too picked the Raiders for a lot of the same reasons he did. I think the Raiders' speed is going to kill that Browns' already lackluster pass defense. The Browns have been really good at stopping the run, so they've struggled against the pass. And I think Vegas is going to know that, and they're going to throw the ball a lot in this game. They may try to set up the run early in the first quarter so they can play action most of the rest of the game. But yeah, Josh Jacobs the last few weeks has not done much. Even though he started the season off pretty hot. But ever since then, I know he's dealing with some injuries, so we'll see. Maybe they should have sat him for a little bit. But Cleveland's too hurt, I think, to keep up. I would like to see these two teams play at full health. I think it would be a great game. And who knows, maybe down the line in January we may get to see that. Because I think both these teams are good enough to make a run.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen the Raiders beat Cleveland, or you've seen the Raiders beat Kansas City. If
Yep.
you can beat Kansas City, you can beat anybody.
Yep.
They really did almost beat Tampa last week.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason that score got out of hand is because they kept missing fourth down conversions deep in their own territory. So it was 24-20 with 8 minutes to go in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I know because it's the game that cost me my giant parlay, and I was pooping. Yeah, it sucked. But they're a good football team. They can beat Kansas City. They can almost beat Tampa Bay. They can beat anybody. Cleveland has all the talent in the world, even with no OBJ down the stretch, because they'll get Chubb back, they'll get Hooper back. Baker will be healthy. By the time they get to playoffs, both these teams can make a run. But as of right now, Vegas is the healthier team, and they're going to be the team that's going to win. Josh Jacobs is probably getting close to being 100% now. Brian Edwards has been close to playing. I don't know if they're going to sit him one more week or not, but he might be back. Ruggs is healthy again. Waller's a beast. Derek Carr's looking a much better quarterback this year than he's looked in the past few years.
Aguilar's a monster.
Aguilar's good for one long catch a game. He's not dropping them this year, though. That's the thing, right? So, he doesn't get a lot of catches, but when he does, they're long ones, and he holds onto the football this year. So you hate to see it when somebody leaves. Yeah, it's just like their kicker, bro. He used to miss everything for the Vikings. That's how we got Dan Bailey. We cut him, and then he makes everything for the Raiders now. So what the hell? But and Jonathan Abrams back, which also made a huge difference in Sunday's game. What put the game away? The Bucks converted on a third and 16, where on a check down, where the safety Jonathan Abrams backup did not come up to make the play. That would not have happened with Abram in there.
Yep.
Okay, so that makes a huge deal. He was not injured. He was in contact with somebody who had COVID on Tuesday, so you have to mandatory sit 5 days. So it sucks because he just missed the game. So, yeah, I just think that all the talent, all the guys I just mentioned right there are going to be too much for Cleveland. I do expect it to be a close game, though. I think that it will come down to the last few minutes of that game. So
I think so, too.
What do we have next? My phone shut off.
Titans versus the Bengals.
Yeah, Tennessee's going to win this game.
Yep.
I think the Bengals, they're good. They've proven that they can put points on the board. They've proven that they can hang in there with people. I think their defense is a huge issue. And again, they were the number one pick in the draft last year. Nobody was expecting them to be fix everything right away. So I think the defense is a work in progress, right? And I think they got rid of Dunlap because he was aging and they're trying to rebuild. Mm-hmm. But I really think they could have got more out of him. But
yep.
The defense is going to continue to be a problem here, and I don't know how they're going to stop Derrick Henry. Pittsburgh could do it, but Pittsburgh-Cleveland defenses are a whole different stratosphere in rankings here, okay? So. And then once Derrick Henry gets going, it opens up the play action for Tannehill. So I expect Tennessee to score a lot of points in this game. I do think that, Tennessee's defense ain't that good. I do expect Joe Burrow to put some points up, too, and keep the game looking somewhat competitive. But he's just not going to be able to outscore his lack of defense. So Tennessee is going to just eventually wear them down and beat them just old-fashioned right down their throat.
I got not much more to add to that. Titans are just a lot better of a football team. Henry's going to have a pretty good game. And the score might look like it's closer than the game actually is, but garbage time can do wonders to the stat board. So.
Facts. Next.
So we got the Patriots travel to Buffalo. So I don't know what happened to Cam. Cam started this season off great, and then he started to lose some games. Then COVID happened, they couldn't practice, and he's looked like the worst quarterback in the league the past couple of games.
He's got three passing touchdowns in the year.
Yeah.
Three.
Yeah, but I think he's got like 5 rushing touchdowns, so.
I know, but as a quarterback, I'm saying nobody's doubted his athletic ability.
Right, but yeah, and he's thrown 5 interceptions the past 2 games, 0 touchdowns. They benched him. I think a lot of that was he was frustrated and they wanted to, the game was already out of hand. Don't ruin the guy's ego anymore. But even though Buffalo struggled against New York, I think that they should beat the Patriots fairly convincingly. But Bill Belichick is a mastermind, so you never know. Patriots could steal this one with a really ugly, gritty game, but I gotta hand it to Buffalo. Buffalo should get on track this week.
Yeah, Cam's gonna start again. They're not gonna bench him for Stidham, but Cam himself said if he doesn't start to play, that benching that he had is gonna wind up being permanent. So I think Belichick would not be afraid to pull the trigger. So I think Cam's got to come out and try to play good. But I think I know Buffalo is very inconsistent football team, but I think they're a very talented football team. So when they're on, they're really on. And I think this is the game that they always get up for, right? Even last year, they got beat twice, but both of those games, Buffalo looked really good in them, right? Like their offense played unusually well in both of those games, and it's just there's one team that all teams get up for, and for the Bills, it's the Patriots because the Patriots have beaten them like 9 million times over the past 20 years. So. They knew starting last year that you've seen that Brady wasn't doing that well in that system anymore, and I think that's when they finally were like, we got a chance to beat them, and they went out there and played 2 really good games against them, lost both of them, but I think they earned a lot of people's respect in both those games. And now they know he's gone. Now we got to go beat Belichick because he's made our life a living hell too for the past 20 years. Mm-hmm. So I think they're gonna. Now it's not gonna be the same Bills team that showed up against the Jets. You're gonna get the Bills teams that showed up earlier against the Rams and the Raiders. That's the Bills team you're gonna get in this game, and I think it is going to be a very convincing win. I don't think New England's offense can score enough points to keep up with the way that Josh Allen and that offense is going to light up the scoreboard this Sunday because, again, it's just an opponent thing. And I think Buffalo's probably one of those teams that play up to their opponents. There's a few teams in the leagues that do that. Detroit. I know that there's another that was another one you brought up last week that always plays to their opponent's level. I can't think of them either. But there's a few teams in the league that do that. It was Dallas. You said Dallas, but that was before the Dak injury. Mm-hmm. Dallas always does it too. Those are 2 teams off the top of my head that I know do it, and I think that Buffalo seems to be a team that does that too. If they're playing a trash team, they're going to win very low-scoring, couple field goals, and then they play better teams and they keep up with them, but they tend to lose. Like that's the hump they need to get over. Mm-hmm. They did beat the Rams, so I'll give them credit there, and the Raiders, right? But they still kind of mediocre against bigger teams, so we'll see how they go. This is a big game for them. I know the record doesn't show up, but for them this is a huge game. We'll see how they step forward. I have faith that they're going to win, so I took Buffalo.
The record does also. If Buffalo somehow loses this game to New England's back in the hunt for the division of the AFC.
Especially since they have a win over Miami.
Yeah.
And Buffalo.
if New England comes out and wins this football game, the AFC East just got a lot more exciting.
Yeah, wide open for every team but the Jets.
So the Chargers are traveling to Denver. And, Drew Lock is back, and he's playing some pretty good football. But he plays it in bits and pieces. He seems to go really good until he gets into the opponent's red zone. And then he just turns into one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. And
that's why his stats don't look all that good.
A lot of that is inexperience. And he's going to correct that once he gets his playmakers back too. But Justin Herbert just came off from his first win. He's going to roll that over. And he's going to go into Mile High and beat him. The Chargers are going to win this football game. And I think that Herbert's going to have another really strong performance. The Denver's defense is not that great. Herbert should have no problem winning this football game.
Yeah. I got the Chargers too. I think Herbert's been lighting it up. Drew Lock's not going to be able to score with Herbert. He's a good quarterback, okay? He's not going to look that good this year. He's got a lot. There's so many injuries on that team. I feel bad for him at this point. There's only one team that's got more money worth of injuries than Denver at this point, and that's the 49ers, who just recently passed them. It was Denver for the longest time. So once they get all that back, I expect them to turn it around next year. But for this year, it's going to be hard to pick Denver. Even after beating New England, but we've seen that New England's just not that good. So I thought maybe that was going to be the turnaround for their season, but then come to find out, New England's not that good. So, but for the love of God, Denver, get Jerry Jeudy the football. Mm-hmm. Like, you picked this guy in the first round for a reason, right? Like, get him the ball. Just get him to find any way you can to get him the ball. Tim Patrick should not be your go-to wide receiver.
He's blowing it up, though.
I mean, you got 2 first-rounders. You got KJ Hamler, too. I know he's battling some injuries, but...
Well, he was a second-rounder.
Oh, yeah, second-rounder, right. But 2 early ones that you had a lot of faith in, and you talked highly about both of them, who I also had, I know not a lot of off-season, but from the off-season talks, they both looked really good in the off-season. So you need to get both of them the football. I don't know if Hamler's going to play this week. I know he's dealing with injury. So. I don't think so. All right, well, at some point during the season, you got to get him involved, too. But Jerry Jeudy's healthy as can be. Get him the ball. I hear him get his name called like once a game. Like that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
Look at what the other guys are doing. CeeDee Lamb, I know his production's starting to drop now because he doesn't have a quarterback. But Justin Jefferson, like Chase Claypool, all these other receivers, the rookie receivers are doing it. And Jerry Jeudy just sitting here like, hello. Mm-hmm. Find a way to get them a ball. Good teams get their playmakers the football. So if you ever want to be a good team, you got to figure out how to get these guys the ball. Period.
Yep.
Chargers should win this with no problem because their offense is that much better.
Yep.
New Orleans at Chicago. Okay, I honestly didn't have a problem picking this game. I know base record-wise, you'd be like, oh, that's a good game. I don't think so. New Orleans should win this game with ease. No Michael Thomas, no problem. Don't care. Chicago's offense, not good. Drew Brees, not looking the same, but that's because Michael Thomas is out, honestly. It's the same. He looks exactly the same as he's looked every other year, to be honest. He just got the guys that can take the slants into the end zone. Like, that's the only issue. So the offense can move the ball down the field. You'll see Kamara get 12 catches probably. They know that they're probably going to win a low-scoring game here. I would expect a lot of field goals in this game, but New Orleans is going to kick more field goals than Chicago, and that's going to be how it's going to be won here. So Drew Brees over Nick Foles in the regular season any day of the week.
Yeah, I know that Michael Thomas is out. I know that Emmanuel Sanders is out. I know that you have a whole bunch of other guys out.
Wasn't a problem last week.
But the Bears aren't going to put points up. So if you can combine and get 21 points on the board, that's the recipe for success against Chicago, because Chicago's not going to do that. Look for Kamara to do a lot of catching out of the backfield. Murray's going to run up the middle. Jared Cook's going to get involved. And this could be a game where you see a lot of Taysom Hill gadget plays, because they're just, on offense, they don't have a whole lot of weapons right now. But it should be enough to still beat the Bears pretty convincingly. The score might not look like it's a convincing win, because both teams are going to be pretty low scoring. But anyone that watches that game is going to be able to tell that the Saints have control of the entire game. Saints should win this one pretty easily.
Agreed.
Now we're down to San Fran travels to Seattle. All right, so we saw Russell Wilson look like a human being in his last game.
For the first time.
For the first time all season, he looked like he could be beat, and he was beat. He, in my opinion, single-handedly lost that game by making a really bad throw. But, you know, people make mistakes, but he's angry now. He's feeling dangerous. And I feel bad for the 49ers, because 49ers are hurt as well, but they're not going to be able to hold up against Russell Wilson. And DK is going to have a big game. Tyler Lockett's going to have a big game. Probably going to be a relatively close game, but the same situation as the Saints game. I don't have any reason to believe that the Seahawks aren't going to be in control of this game.
Yeah, I will say this game looks a lot more compelling than it did a couple weeks ago. I do think San Francisco's playing a lot better football right now than they were playing a few weeks ago. I do think it'll be close. It's going to be a close game. It's a rivalry that they don't like each other, and they look forward to playing each other every year. So they're both gonna bring their A game. Hurt or not, the 49ers will bring their A game. This will be a close game. But Russ ain't having two games like that back to back.
Not against division.
And now that he's hearing, oh, could Rodgers be the MVP? Could Brady be the MVP? Like Russ is like, no, not this year. I'm tired of not getting any MVP votes. I expect him to throw 4 to 5 touchdowns in this game.
At least.
And the 49ers will keep up. The Seattle's defense is no good. Because of COVID protocols, Dunlap won't be able to play. Not this week. So, still the same old Seattle defense. So I do expect this game to be high scoring and close for both teams. But Russ is going to win this. He's going to, just like he single-handedly lost last week's game, he's going to single-handedly win this week's game, and he's going to make sure of it. It'll be a really fun game to watch. Watch it, but Russ ain't going to let him lose. Sorry, he's not going to have games like that 2 weeks in a row. No way. Especially in the division. No way. No way in hell. Go. So, yeah, I'm taking Seattle. Dallas at Philly. If Dak was playing this game, I would be a really compelling matchup. But he's not. They got some dude named Danushi or something. He's playing. He's starting. No chance in hell. Not at Philly. That's for sure. You guys allowed to have fans yet?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep. We
no shot.
12,500 fans. So, not only do you have the fans booing at Danushi, but this Eagles team that was completely obliterated by injuries is starting to get healthy. You have Dallas Goedert puts up his monster games against the Cowboys.
Facts.
It's a revenge game for him. His dad's a Cowboys fan, so he goes out and plays a little extra hard. Miles Sanders could play in this game. I don't necessarily foresee him playing in this game because of how bad Dallas's defense is. They might let him rest one more week because our bye week's next week. Let Boston Scott get some points in there. Jalen Reagor is back, our first-round pick. Explosive guy. Carson Wentz is clicking with Travis the GOAT Fulgham. And then you got Greg Ward who can catch anything. I don't think that Dallas really has a shot to win this football game. And that could be a little biasness talking. But the Eagles should rout the Cowboys in a fashion that is just one of the biggest blowouts of the week. This game's going to get ugly fast. Eagles win this one in a landslide, unbiasedly.
Yeah, I agree with him, and I'm not an Eagles fan, so I do think that they absolutely destroy Dallas. I think pretty much every team is going to destroy Dallas from here on out. It's unfortunate for them.
No, it's not.
But honestly, this is the best thing that could ever happen to Dak. I'm telling you that right now. Look how bad this team looks without him.
He's going to get paid.
He's going to get paid. He's going to get paid, even if not by the Cowboys. Other teams are going to look at that because Dallas was at least, they weren't winning games, but they were right in the games. Okay, and now they look absolutely dreadful.
And he was an NFL leader in passing yards, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
2 weeks after he got hurt, he was still leading.
Some team is going to pay that man. So, Dak, I know you don't like to see your team lose, but you have to have a little bit of happiness inside you watching this because you know that contract's coming now. So, Philly in a landslide. All right, last game. Take it.
So last game is Tampa Bay in New York. Tom Brady.
The Giants looked pretty good against Philly.
No, they didn't. So in one corner you have arguably the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, who's playing some of his best football, minus his crazy Randy Moss season. This is one of Tom Brady's best seasons of football at 43 years old. The other corner you have Daniel Jones, who finds ways to beat himself. I've never seen a quarterback look this nervous and anxious. He does not have he doesn't have a knack of confidence in his body. The dude fell down on a running play where there wasn't an Eagles player within 20 yards of him. He fell.
The turf monster got him. It
He
could happen to
fell
anybody, bro.
down.
Funny as shit when it could happen to anybody.
He fell down. He could have walked in from the 20. That guy is goofier than Eli Manning. It's like
He literally looks like just like Eli Manning.
They were like, hey, you know how goofy Eli looked on the sidelines? Let's draft his replacement to be even goofier,
Yeah,
but
doppelganger.
instead of being goofy on the sideline, let's have him be goofy on the field. And the Giants have averaged, I think, like 15.3 points a game. They might get 10. Tom Brady's going to rout them. And it's an ugly Monday Night Football game.
Yeah, who slated this for Monday night?
I don't know.
That was terrible. They were like, oh, look, Pittsburgh and Baltimore's playing this week. Nah, put Tampa and New York on Monday night.
That's the game that people want to see.
Yes, that's it. Leave Pittsburgh and Baltimore for regular time television.
It's going to be ugly.
Yeah, obviously I got Tampa too. I don't think anybody was going to question whether I was going to pick that or not. I think what the funny thing is about the run about Daniel Jones is, yes, he got tripped up. It was hilarious. But I do think it could open up a whole new set of plays for New York now. As fast as that guy is, there's no way they shouldn't be running with him more often. Like, that guy's just as fast as Lamar Jackson. Why do you not run the football with him more?
They don't run it with him because he leads the NFL in fumbles in the past 2 years.
But a lot of that's from getting blindsided because he's got no offensive line.
That's
true.
That's true, but he fumbles the ball like it's his job.
You can fix that. Good coaching can fix. They don't have good coaching, but good coaching can fix that. But I don't. Even if they open up the playbook for Daniel Jones, they're not going to win. They don't have enough weapons on the field to beat a team like Tampa.
Right.
But I just wanted to give a little insight that I think the Giants could have a little bit better offense if they started to open it up a little bit with Daniel Jones and let him run. Because once you have the threat of being on your feet, it kind of opens up your other receivers because the defense is worried. But Tampa's going to win this game by like 30 plus. They got way too many. They had too many weapons. Okay, you got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Gronk's finally woke up. He's like, hey, I'm not a WWE wrestler anymore. I actually got to work for this. Like, no shade to WWE wrestlers, but if you've seen his run, he didn't do anything to win his belt. He literally laid on somebody. So you didn't have to work for that. Like the run game's looking good. Rojo looks real good. There's no weakness on the offense. The only problem is that Brady, once in a blue moon, looks 43 in one game. Like it's just probably wear and tear a little bit. Every game here or there, he looks bad because, he's 43. You can't do it every game anymore. But the games he's on, he's really on. And the thing is that I don't even think he could have one of his 43-year-old games in this game, and it's still going to take care of the Giants. Yeah. So, actually, I'd be praying that this is the game he has it. Get it out of the way so we can beat the next couple teams. We got New Orleans coming up. So, the Giants just are not good. Daniel Jones looks nervous, like he said, but I think it's because he's got no help over there in New York, and it's hard to be a quarterback in the city of New York. So fans probably get on him all the time, and he's all like, "What am I supposed to do with? I got all look at the people I play with. Like what am I supposed to do? What do you want me to do?" It's sad that the Jets and Giants are three worst teams in the league, and they play at the same stadium, and it's kind of shitty for fans over there because it doesn't matter which team you pick.
They're not winning.
They're not winning. Okay, they're gonna end. The Guardians are gonna end the year with more victories at that stadium than the Giants and Jets are. Mark that down. They only played like 5 games for the season.
Yeah.
They're gonna wind up with more wins at that stadium. They have 2. Good luck. What's the over/under on that in Vegas? It probably wasn't pretty high before the season started. It's really high now.
Yep.
But that's all we got this week, folks. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for supporting us always. And we'll see you guys next week.